More to talk about. Let's bring in our Sunday Powerhouse panel, constitutional and civil rights attorney and Newsmax contributor Amir Benno, and Project 21 National Advisory Board member and principal of Red Tail Strategies, Christopher Arps. Gentlemen, good to see you.
Good thing seeing you.
So let's start with something that I kind of thought was big news last week, but it didn't get a lot of coverage. The Wall Street Journal had a story that the State Department finally has announced that they gave us a number. We've been asking for numbers of how many interpreters and U.S. visa applicants and other allied Afghans and their families are still stranded in Afghanistan. That number, 60,000. It's really the first time that we have heard a definitive number from the State Department. The country is basically falling apart, barely enough food to go around. Christopher, I'll start with you. It's a huge number. These folks are in hiding. They're fearing for their lives. What did you think, finally, of this admission from the administration?
Well, I tell you, we all knew that the number was much higher than what the administration had been telling us. But I have to admit, I was very surprised that it was 60,000 people. This puts more of a stain and a shame on the policy of what we did, just leaving this country, leaving our people, leaving our allies behind. I think it's shameful. And I'd like to see the media and the mainstream media especially focus more on this. And I am glad that we're doing that this morning.
Yeah, Amir, we're not hearing about this from the mainstream press. There's no clamor really to help these people. Your thoughts on the revelation this week?
I agree with Chris. I mean, it's no surprise that they're not covering it. I mean, they're hand in glove with the Democratic Party and the Biden administration in terms of running interference for his fumbles. And that's exactly what this was. This was such a calamity, such a catastrophe. And the fact is, we were told, oh, there's, maybe a couple hundred. But 60,000. I mean, this is really shameful any way you look at it.
Yeah, no, it adds to the human calamity because, again, these folks are in hiding. Because if they're found out, they risk getting butchered in the streets by these terrorists that we gave the country over to. Want to move on to more disorder at the border. Late last week, Customs and Border Protection reported 173,000 illegal immigrant interactions at the southern border in November. That is the worst November in DHS history. This as Texas has started constructing its own border wall. Amir, the president is doing everything possible to keep people's attention off of the southern border. We're looking at 2 million, I think is the number now. 2 million incursions. The country can't take another year of this. What can states be doing legally to push back since the federal government really doesn't want to solve this problem?
A couple things. So Texas is doing it. I mean, they're making the apprehensions themselves because the federal government isn't doing it. They don't have enough resources to do it. They're building the wall themselves. They should ultimately pass that along to the federal government. It's their responsibility to fund all of that, and that's what they're charged to do. Unfortunately, when we talk about resettling these refugees, the localities and the states have really no control over where they go. Under Donald Trump, there was an executive order that allowed cities, counties, states to have veto power over whether or not these illegal immigrants got resettled in their communities and tax their resources. But Biden pulled the plug on that as well. So we have to push our legislators in Congress to try to enact some legislation to allow state and local governments to have that power.
Amir, one more question to you on this, because you mentioned the states' rights issue here that I have always felt is massive. How could the federal government tell, let's say, the state of Tennessee or the state of Arkansas, we're gonna increase your population by 50,000 or 100,000 people? Do you believe that they need to kind of try to push the envelope on the states' rights issue? Is that even possible?
Well, I think we have to push. The legislators need to be pushing back on it. I mean, right now, federal law allows the federal government to just dump these people in these communities, like we saw them doing in New York, these midnight runs where they would drop people, and that's really just not appropriate because these communities can't absorb them. The schools can't absorb them. The health, the food, everything, the infrastructure is just not there to absorb them. So So, but at the end of the day, this is something that has to be done legislatively. And as long as there's a majority, the Democrats have the majority, it's not going to get done.
Yeah, I think that needs to be part of the platform for Republicans and conservatives in 2022 is to prevent the federal government from just dumping people in these states. And of course, they want to give them the right to vote. That's what the Democrats are trying to do here. Chris, 2 million of these illegals, 600,000 gotaways estimated. So those are we know the people who came in. Now we've got 600,000 more that we just sort of estimate just got away. We've never even seen them. You're in St. Louis. Are you hearing frustration among Democrats and also black Democrats over this situation?
No, not at all. You know, St. Louis has been losing population dramatically over the last 20 or 30 years. So our Democratic-controlled city, they're actually encouraging migrants to settle them here. We have a very large Bosnian immigration community here in St. Louis. And so they want to bring these migrants from Mexico in under that model of resettling them here so that we don't lose population. So they're encouraging it here, Tom.
Yeah, you know, and the interesting thing about that is that it all comes back to the money, because if you're a mayor who's encouraging illegal immigration, what is that about? That's about getting more federal dollars to be infused into your city for more federal programs. I mean, what do you think?
Oh, that, and we were in danger of possibly losing a congressional seat, so it takes away that danger as well if we can import more migrants.
All right, I want to thank our panel. We're going to see you at the top of the hour.